Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the FitBod Blueprint. Tyler, what is up, my man?
Not much. Working, parenting, living life, all the good stuff. How about you?
Just clanging and banging in the Iron Temple. Really been so. I'm going to start off with a little bit of some bro stuff.
Yeah.
So I have really been blasting my shoulders in my training, just kind of like how for a lot of my female clients, they enjoy training glutes 3 times a week. I have thoroughly enjoyed training my shoulders 3 times a week,
Nice.
and I've been seeing some really cool results from it. My shoulders feeling healthier and stronger than ever as well. Whenever I say training, I mean I've also expanded more to like YTWs and a little bit of like external 90-degree rotation. I've been truly loving my shoulder training lately.
Nice.
So that's
Nice.
my
That's
big
always
that's
fun when you kind of like find a good little groove and like you're just, really looking forward to your training and whatever it is you're doing, like it kind of gets you excited because I'm sure you could say the same, like after, how, fit 10, 15 years of training, a lot of times it can sometimes feel like a chore. Like you enjoy it, but you're just going in and I don't want to say going through the motions. Like we still push ourselves, but it pushing yourself is sometimes going through the motion. And so it's nice when you get that little extra boost with your training.
Oh, for sure. And this is, a common theme that I know you and I talk about and that we bring up with our clients is, hey, a lot of it just comes back to being disciplined enough that it's a part of your natural habits. It's a part of
Yeah.
just who you are. You recognize the benefit of it, and pushing through those boring training phases
Yep. I'm in one
versus
right
always
now.
being, yeah, like versus always
Yeah.
being super motivated and wee, like
Yep.
motivation is your Christmas bonus. If it
Yep.
comes, great,
Yeah.
but you probably shouldn't base your June budget off of what you're going to make in December.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Like I trained, I was active and trained like 6 times last week. And like, did I want to do most of it? Not really, but had to get it done. And so, it's even going in on a Saturday morning, Friday night, played some hockey, had a couple, wobbly pops after, but still got up Saturday morning, went and, finished up the volume that I wasn't able to get in earlier in the week.
Hold on. I gotta take a time out here. Wobbly pops. That is a
Yeah,
new one for
you've
me.
never heard. Well, you're
Wobbly.
welcome. Now you can
Oh,
have that in your lexicon.
now are there garage wobbly pops? Like,
I
or is it just
mean,
hockey?
wobbly pop can be whatever. Like it can be a garage, it can be a post hockey, it can be
The
uh, you know,
airport
a,
wobbly pop?
a airport wobbly pop. That must be a Canadian lingo then.
I think so, because I was going to ask, is that like measured in fluid ounces, or are we measuring that in like milliliters? Are we
Yeah,
metric or freedom units?
we measure it in gooses.
Canadian geese, baby. All right. So today's topic, we are discussing if we could start over the fitness and body composition advice we wish we had.
Yeah,
What we wish we knew about fitness 10 years ago. So I think this is probably going to be one just kind of clarify a little bit on my opening statement here for what's making me feel good this week. And that is going to be whenever it comes to training volume. 10 years ago, and I look at what my volume was from the coach I was working with at the time, and the volume was just stupid. Whenever you're doing 30 plus working sets for your chest and 30 plus working sets for your back, that is a ridiculous amount of volume. So even for my shoulder training that I'm doing 3 times a week, I do want to clarify, I'm picking 2 exercises and I'm doing 3 sets. So even that is still just 18 total working sets per week for my
yeah,
shoulders. And there are multiple studies that show pretty much anything beyond, you know, 20, maybe a little bit more sets per week, you're just getting diminishing returns. You're just increasing the risk of developing, any type of overuse, tendonitis, you're risking injury, soft tissue tear. But at the time, 10 years ago, hey, I'm in my mid 20s, feeling like you're Superman, feeling like you're
Yeah.
invincible. That was just, and plus I was paying a coach to design my training program at the time.
Yeah.
So, hey, more volume, that makes sense. If what I'm doing here is a good amount, then doing more is going to be a more gooder amount. So that's my number one thing, that if I could go back 10 years and just explain to 25-year-old Phil, hey, more isn't better. Question things that kind of not necessarily a red flag, but maybe like an orange flag.
Yeah.
Question that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we were talking before we hopped on, and I mean, this is one for both of us because I think it is such a common one for so many people. I think at one point with one coach, like I was doing like 45 sets in a week. Like it was just like 40, 45. It was, yeah, it was insane. And like on one hand, I kind of like to look back on that time and go like, damn, I was a beast because I would like go crush a workout and then later that afternoon I'd go crush an hour and a half hockey sesh, right? And I'd be like this is easy. Like, so in one sense you're like, damn, like I was a beast. There's no way I could do that nowadays. But also at the same time, like for all the things that you said, how much of that time and energy was actually wasted. And I find even now doing less, like I'm getting more out of it because the intensity is there, right? And it's pretty rare, like I'm going beyond 12 working sets for any body part for throughout the course of a week, right? Like I'm usually between in that 9 and 12. And that's where, I'm getting the most results from, right? And granted, with my powerlifting right now, intensity is just a bit higher, so my overall volume is just going to naturally be a bit lower to make sure I am trying to stay injury free. But I think that between 9 and 15 sets for the majority of people, like especially Gen Pod, that's going to be more than enough. And not just with training but with cardio as well. And I know we've both been through it where we've been doing 6-7 days of 60 minutes of walking. I've had times too in preps where I'm doing 2 cardio sessions a day, 45 minutes each, plus a training session. And, knowing now, like kind of what we've learned about cardio and its function in fat loss, we were just making it actually harder on ourselves to lose body fat because the body becomes so adapted and just actually starts preserving energy. Like you're pretty much getting the exact opposite of what you're wanting, right? And like my recovery, like, so it's really in all things here, less is going to be more. And I mean, there's always going to be the spectrum and what your goal is, and there's going to be context. And hey, maybe at a certain point we are doing 5, 6. I would never probably do 7 days. I always want for sure one rest day for people, but
One
like
full day, yep.
yeah, I mean maybe you are doing some type of cardio every day, but to the extent I think you and I have done it in the past and probably prescribed in the past as well, that would be something I would never, well, I guess never deal in absolutes, but I would very much not want to do that.
Hey, only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Exactly. I almost slipped up there. I almost showed my true self.
No, and again, this is where it's not like, even stuff that we're doing today, a person who truly cares about their craft understands that new information comes out and better approaches do get found. Now, I mean, it's not like we're going to have a revolutionary change within the way the body works. It's not like suddenly, hey, I can rotate a full 360 degrees at the waist, like not with leaving my spinal cord intact. The body's not going to change in that sense, but more studies come out, like more approaches get just talked about a little bit more openly. So no, I love that you bring that up about, we need a full day of rest. And that is something that from an athlete perspective, it can be hard to make that shift in your mindset to feeling like, man, but I'm not doing anything today. Like I'm itching, the car's ready to go. But from a coach perspective, it's like, man, I see the importance of taking a day to just rest and fuel up. And yeah, you may not be doing any lifting or any cardio that day, but that also doesn't mean get welded to your couch.
Yeah.
Steps are different than cardio. That is always one factor that I want people to understand. Like 10 years ago, we weren't really doing a step goal. It wasn't super common that somebody had a Fitbit, or if somebody wore a pedometer 10 years ago, it was typically an old person walking at the mall. Like,
Yeah.
so, but studies have come out on NEAT or non-exercise activity to show like, hey, maybe we don't need to do an hour of cardio. Maybe we just need to hit the 10,000 steps that the person doing an hour of cardio a day was able to do.
Yeah.
So, hey, a 5-10 minute walk 5-6 times a day can really add up. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
even my rest days, I'm still doing 3 10 to 15 minute walks with my dog. I'm probably vacuuming the house, like cleaning around the house and playing with my 4-year-old. That's pretty damn active if you've ever done that in a day. Like that,
yeah,
you're still moving quite a bit, right? So like, yeah, there's always going to be different modes of activity that may not feel like it, but you're still moving, getting up and down off the floor and all of those things, right? So still having that time out of the gym, I think, just even from a mental perspective too, and keeping it like you want to look forward to going to the gym. And I find like almost the less time you spend in the gym, the more you tend to look forward to it.
yeah. No, that is great. That's so true. The less time that you're spending in the gym now, the more you're going to look forward to it, because that gym burnout is real.
Yeah. And say
You
if
may
you
love
know,
training 6 days a week for a year or 2 or 5 years, but you're going to eventually go, God, I hate that color of orange in my Anytime Fitness.
yeah,
You're going to
yeah,
get tired of looking at that damn fluorescent light over your head whenever you're bench pressing. You're going to start finding little things that irk you. So no, that's fantastic. I'm so glad you brought that up. Now, for me, my next point that I wanted to bring up is something I wish I knew 10 years ago. And like, I understood the X's and O's, but I didn't apply it to myself. Again, working with a coach and just trusting their guidance. I wish I knew healthy minimums for myself for carbs and fats. So at one point, I was put on 75 grams of carbs and 30 grams of fat. And that impacted my energy levels. It impacted my overall
you don't
mood.
say.
Oh my, well, that's the lowest that my carbs have ever been.
Yeah.
Like, aside from like if I've got a stomach bug and I'm not eating anything for a day. But
Yeah, you still might get more out of the Gatorade you're drinking.
yeah, yeah. Of course, me being me, I don't like to consume my calories unless I absolutely have to. So usually it's like, crap, I've got the Gatorade Zero
Yeah.
or the
Or
Powerade
it's
Zero.
a whiskey. Or it's a whiskey.
Yeah, that's medicinal. But I remember at that same time, and again, touch on the last point, less is more. I was also put on an hour of cardio a day. At the time, I was using a Concept 2 rower. So full body cardio,
Were you doing an hour on the rower?
an hour on the rower.
That must have been so boring. And like your hip flexors must have been shot.
So yeah, my joints did not feel great. In fact, nothing felt great, but that was the scariest moment for me of exercise induced hypoglycemia, because
Yeah.
I was doing an hour 7 days a week. My carbs were obviously super, super low at 75 grams. And I just distinctly remember whenever I got off the rower one day, like I wasn't even done. I was like, oh man, I think I got to use the bathroom like halfway through. I walk into my bathroom and I'm like pouring sweat, more than just exercise sweat. My
Yeah.
hands are shaking. And I look in the mirror and I realize I am a special shade of white.
Yeah.
and I'm now feeling nauseous. I'm now extra shape. Like I don't have my legs. They're fully rubber. That was the scariest moment of exercise induced hypoglycemia I've been through because I've been through a sugar crash before
Yeah.
from like football or boxing or MMA, but this those other times previously, hey, I'm eating 300 plus grams of carbs a day. That was just
Yeah.
a super acute. This was something that was built up over time. And like I said, I was maybe halfway through.
Yeah. Wow.
And I just remember like, luckily my wife had just gotten home. It's like, I need fast sugar now.
Yeah.
Cracked open a bottle of orange juice and downed that
Yeah, I
as
bet.
fast as I could. So, knowing like for me, I know the healthy minimum intake, like, hey, zero point 0.3 grams of fat per pound of body weight. That's a basic one. I
Yeah.
do not train anymore unless I've had carbs for the day.
Yeah.
So that was a lesson learned the hard way for me, knowing what are healthy minimums.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I've never been, I think the lowest I've ever gotten in a prep was like a 120 carb and like a 45 fat. And really that was like maybe the last couple of weeks. So I've fortunately never, I mean, which is low for me, but like again, it was a prep and maybe I could have eaten a little bit more, like if I'd known more and whatnot, like yeah, maybe it could have been done better, but maybe I still would have gotten there to get as lean as I needed to be, right? Like prep is one of those things where you're gonna probably go to an extreme at a certain point. Like that does tend to be the nature of the sport. But I still think like, I mean, you weren't, it's not like you were in a prep, right? And so I think really, even from a coaching perspective, having those healthy basic minimums for a lifestyle client of like, we could go lower, but I don't feel comfortable going lower. And that's not something that I want to do, right? So I think having that baseline and being able to talk with a client about that and why, we're maybe not going to go lower, right? It's important to have that and to understand that. So yeah, just even from a coaching perspective too, not just for ourselves, but for our clients as well, to have those ethics, really, if you will, to have like it keep them safe and healthy too, not just in the short term, but the long term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Um. All right. So, do you have what was your next one?
I was going to let you go. I feel like
Okay.
I've been boss hogging over here.
All good. It's all good. So I think so one for me here, and this again kind of, blends into just what I was talking about from a coaching perspective, is really making sure that we're setting a client up for this long-term success in a fat loss phase. And I think the biggest one, and not just from like a biological perspective, in that sense, like yes, that is important, and making sure that that person is eating enough food, they are eating at maintenance calories. I put it at a minimum of 12 weeks, from a biological perspective, but also from like a bedside manner, and being able to explain it and why are we doing this, and what are going to be the benefits, and that we're looking to optimize your metabolism. We are looking for the adherence, that and the habit formation. Like those are the two biggest things for me, because like I will tell someone like 10 out of 10 times, I guess I should say 12 out of 12 times because we're 12 weeks. If someone can't track their macros on a consistent basis at maintenance, 100% they're not going to be able to track it when I start lowering that food intake and it gets harder. Like if you can't do it easy when it's easy, you're not going to be able to do it when it's hard. So it's kind of like I need to be able to see that you can actually do it, right? Like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm kind of challenging you, like show me you're actually ready for a dieting phase. And it's not like, oh, I'm trying to be a dick. Like I have your long-term and short-term success in mind. Like that's why you hired me. But it's also those things where, someone, as soon as someone starts being more aware of their food intake, the perception of their life being busy gets heightened because so much of our life is surrounded with food and lunch meetings, dinner meetings, date night, birthdays, social events. Like my wife and I, like we've got social stuff almost every single weekend. Like it's pretty rare we don't have something planned. And as human beings, it's always typically surrounded with food and alcohol and treats and desserts and this and that. And a lot of times people just aren't aware of what's in the food, how much is in the food. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, like now I'm trying to track, be aware, try not to overeat, but I still have all of these things. And so having this like 12-week time period really allows us to strategize and look at these things and go, okay, guess what? These aren't going to stop once we start dieting. If anything, Murphy's Law, there's going to be more of them. Or two, it just seems like there's more of them, but they're still the same amount. But we still need to stay within a certain amount of calories. And so how are we going to handle this? And that isn't going to come right away, especially if you've never really tracked your food before. Like it's going to take some time to figure out what works best for you. And so just kind of coming back to that, what do I wish I, kind of knew that 10 years ago as a coach is just really how to take someone like step by step, right? Like it almost like it is this, 2-3 weeks, here's what we're focusing on. All right, now you get to graduate, 2-3 weeks, graduate, 2-3 weeks, graduate. And it's that step-by-step process where really it doesn't take very long, but it are certain things that you need to work on and build this foundation to get to a point where you are ready from a fat loss phase. Like, you're trying to think of maybe like a good example of like, if your doctor told you to do something for 12 weeks before you could do X, well, you would probably follow that expert advice. Well, that's what we are. We are experts in fat loss. We are experts in, I don't want to say behavior modification because we're not psychologists, but like we are experts in these things that are going to allow you to change that body composition. We're not just bullshitting you or leading you on or, just trying to string you along. We are trying to get those results.
There's definitely a lot of athlete psychology that gets applied, and people might hear that term athlete and go, I mean, I'm not an athlete. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not a power lifter. I'm not an Olympic. I don't professionally ski. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not an athlete. And it's like, well, hold on. Athlete just simply means you are someone who is engaging in an athletic endeavor. And an athletic endeavor would 100% be, hey, are you working out twice a week? Congrats, you're engaging in an athletic endeavor. Boom. Are you, like there's so much on the psychology side that we do have to be able to apply and know how can this click? How can this make sense? What might make sense for one person doesn't make sense for the other. So for me, what I always do is meet someone with where they're at.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, if somebody has never tracked a calorie, they've never used a food scale in their life, look, you can be as anxious as you want to start a fat loss phase, but it's setting yourself up for failure. So for me, very similar approach of run through essentially a foundations course. So what I'll usually do is say, hey, if you've never tracked your food before, I don't care that you've got a wedding coming up in X amount of weeks. And by the way, for all those people that say, I've got a wedding I want to look good for, if it's not your wedding,
yeah,
I'm gonna specifically touch on weddings. If it is not your wedding and you are specifically not the bride, no one gives a crap. No one is looking at you.
yeah.
No one's going through and flipping through the photos to try to find pictures of you from so-and-so's wedding. I'm just being brutally honest.
Yeah.
I have my wife and I opened up our wedding album once, and it was when we first got it.
Yeah, I don't even think we've done that. It's still like it's on a CD somewhere. Like we haven't even printed photos from it. Like, yeah,
Like, look, nobody cares.
yeah,
No, nobody's going to care.
yeah.
But if you
The
wanted to
bride
be in
and groom
shape,
don't even care.
no. Look, if you
Fifth
wanted to
of
be in a
May.
certain, if you wanted to be in a certain shape or have a certain look, don't come at me with, I've got this wedding in 12 weeks. You should have started preparing for that like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Just brutally honest. You probably should have started preparing 6 months ago.
Even then, I'm not a big fan of dieting people for specific events like that.
No,
I
like
it's
if
kind of
it's
just
not,
pointless all around.
yeah, like look, if it's not something specific for you, like, hey, your honeymoon, if it's not your like, hey, I've not been on vacation in 2 years and I've got this, hey, we're going to the Bahamas and I want to be able to walk around with the shirt off, like, cool, but let's not do that in 12 weeks, especially if
Yeah,
you've never tracked a calorie a day in your life.
yeah,
So instead, let's take a week to even learn, can you track calories consistently for 7 days? Cool. This is what your average calorie intake appears to be. This is what the trend is. Do you understand how this is impacting your body? Either this is why you're gaining weight, this is why you're losing weight, or this is why you're averaging out to exactly what you've been averaging out at.
yeah,
All right, now show me you can hit your protein goal. Hey, after a week of that, now show me for a week that you can hit your calories, hit your protein, and also get in 2 servings of veggies a day, 2 servings of fruit a day. Do that for a week. Hey, we're feeling really good. Now we're introducing an extra day of training.
yeah,
Hey, now we're introducing some other component.
yeah,
Let's build those habits for 8, 10, 12 weeks, however long it takes. And then, like Tyler said, let's now run into a deficit. Like if you've never tracked, that's the harsh truth is that you need someone that's willing to say, hey, I'm not going to coach you through a fat loss phase if you've never tracked a calorie in your life, or if you're saying, I don't have the time, because BS, everyone has the time. Do you have a daily deposit? Do you
yeah.
take a bowel movement every day? Cool. Unless you're a
Best.
caveman or you're 90, you're probably bringing your phone in with you just to have real talk. You mean to
Yeah,
tell me that whenever you're sitting on the toilet for 3 minutes, you can't plan what you're going to eat today?
yeah, yeah,
I'm just saying everybody has that. There is
yeah,
no excuse. If you're saying
yeah,
that this goal is important to you, there's no reason why you can't do that. So for me, it's like, hey, if I say I want to save up for a down payment on a house, you know what I'm probably doing? I'm sticking to a financial budget that I've worked out, and I'm checking my bank account every single day to make sure that no more is coming out than what I've budgeted for. And I'm
yeah,
probably also making sure that I'm saving on the right timeline that I need to save X amount of money by X date.
yeah. Yep. Exactly. It's the exact same thing. And there's a big difference between a 70-year-old retired lady who likes to bike or bake and a 38-year-old business owner who has 3 lunch meetings a day, or sorry, 3 lunch meetings a week, right? Like
I was
those
going to say
are
three a
just
day. Man, that
yeah,
guy is
3 a day
eating.
would be yeah. That would be excessive problem. Then we
That,
would really have
that's a
to talk
hobbit.
about yeah,
That
it's a
that's even
hobby.
like a
Yeah,
hobbit.
yeah, right.
But I
And
can't say I've had but one yet.
there's gonna be those differences that like you kind of need to okay, like how are we then going to figure this out, right? But I also think the positive thing too is like as soon as you start getting someone aware, they naturally start to eat less because they're like, oh, I have to log this and like check in with my coach. And you just naturally then start to make those better choices. You just start to eat less. And guess what? You probably start to lose a little bit of body fat and build a little bit of muscle without even dieting. So I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe listen to us.
all right. Well, that has all the points. So now it brings us to
The
Tyler.
best part of the podcast, the dad joke.
Oh, if you want a dad joke, I got one.
Oh, or was it a question?
I've got the would you rather,
Okay,
but
let's
since
do
you
that.
mentioned dad joke, I'm going there.
Okay.
Did you hear about the new broom that's sold out everywhere?
No.
You could say it's sweeping the nation.
As my wife would say, You're an idiot.
So,
All right, now would you rather?
would you rather only be able to listen to one song for the rest of your life or never be able to listen to the same song twice?
Never be able to listen to the same song twice because I feel like your appreciation for music would be like very high, and say you hear like one song, you're like, I really love that. But I'm gonna save that second time for like something, very whatever important, and really soak in the moment of that song. So I think it would also force you to be very present with that, that piece of music. So that's what I would go with.
That's a very, very sound answer. For me, I'm going to go with only listen to one song for the rest of my life because it's not like I need to always have music
Right.
going. So I feel like for me, if I think about like I would have to first pick like my all-time favorite song and know like this is it. So like for me, I've
Yeah.
got a top three. I'd have to narrow it down to of like Thunderstruck by AC/DC. I also love For Evie by Volbeat.
Okay.
Love that song. And then my other one, and people can give me as much crap about this as they want, but I love Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love.
Okay.
So I would have to pick one of those and just know, hey, if I'm turning on the radio or I'm turning on Spotify, this is what I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
think
love it.
I would go with that.
Okay.
I think I'd have to probably go with, for me, I'd go with For Evie by Volbeat because I think about like How I Met Your Mother, Marshall's Fiero, where
Yeah.
it only played I Would Walk 500 Miles by the Proclaimers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
it
That would
comes
just
back
be,
around.
yeah, that would just be Phil.
This is the best song ever. It just keeps coming back around. You
Yeah.
can't get tired of it.
All right. All right. I feel like I would just
Um,
go crazy, like having to listen to just I feel like I would just stop listening to music then. But well,
yeah, that like I would just pick one song that I absolutely love and
yeah,
just that would be it. So
yeah. All
anyways,
right.
thank you all for joining us for another episode of the FitBod Blueprint. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you have about fat loss, muscle building, coaching, getting your mind right, or if you are ever looking for a dad joke or a would you rather.